Versus MMOs, yeah, it's kind of unlucky. But look at the damage I'm about to do, dude. Oh my god, I'm busting. Trespasser's time rip, boys.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2. Today I'm going to be showing you guys the absolute best Trickster build in the entire game. As you can see, the damage is just absolutely crazy. I think that this is the best that the Trickster has ever been. With this new update, we got some new stuff, which I'll of course make sure to go over, but as you can see, damage is crazy. We actually got some additional survivability as well, which is really nice. The Trickster kind of needed that. So for those of you guys that, even if you're just new getting into the game, I'll go over multiple variations of the build. So if you're just new getting into Trickster, I'll go over what's, all the stuff that you should be looking out for, but this is pretty much going to be what you want to strive for once you have, all the gear in the game. But of course, I'll go over everything that you want in between that. This build is a ton of fun to play, it does an absolutely crazy amount of damage, so let's just get right into it.
Before I get into everything, I want to give a big thanks to today's sponsor, which is Advanced GG. Look at this professional YouTube setup with the editing and everything here. I know, if you guys haven't already heard of Advanced, pretty similar to G Fuel in kind of the same space of if you're looking for something to, give you a huge energy boost that also tastes really great, this is what you want to be going for. But Advance is particularly good because it is the first nootropic supplement with a clinically proven ingredient that is going to improve esports and gaming performance. If you don't already know, like caffeine and L-theanine is actually proven to improve reaction time, stuff like that, but also great for just keeping you focused, energized, etc. And like I said, this stuff tastes fantastic. So there's a whole bunch of different flavors. I'd highly recommend it. And if you get it with my coupon code Nick2, I get a little bit of a commission, so it helps me out a ton, especially with the extra cost of moving. I would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, big thanks to them, and let's just get right into the video.
All right, so first off, let's take a look at the skills. Hunt the Prey, pretty standard here. This is a must-have. A lot of people like using borrowed time. I've gone on multiple tangents about this previously already. Borrowed time just simply isn't worth it. Hunt the Prey is going to net you way more damage, and also you use a mod with it that's particularly strong. And then we're going to be using Time Rift. So, like I said, there's going to be multiple variations of this build. I think that the best way to set it up is definitely with Time Rift, but an alternative to using Time Rift is Venator's Knife. You definitely want to have one deception skill though, so I would pick between those two. I would recommend using Venator's Knife until you get the perfect setup with Time Rift, and then you use Time Rift. And of course we're going to be using Twisted Rounds, no surprise there. And then once we go into the class tree, you can pretty much copy paste this. There's not really anything special in here. There's not even much that you can like swap between. I think instead of, oh, here comes Kitty. Instead of extra weapon damage in the form of death probability, you could swap to transfusion for extra weapon life leech if you felt like your survivability was rough. Or you could swap bounty hunter, I guess. But I mean, this is going to be the best way to set it up for damage, and that's what we care about. So that's pretty standard stuff there. All right, so getting into the build itself, as you can see, I actually have 3 legendary pieces on. This is very new, which I was actually really surprised to see with the update. This one legendary set actually got buffed so that it's finally worth using with the DPS build, which honestly makes me really happy. I really didn't expect that. You can definitely set up the build without using the 3 legendary pieces, but that's simply just going to make it better. But the build with all purple is perfectly fine. However, certain legendaries and T3 mods are pretty much going to enable you to play this build. So without those, it's a little bit rough. I'll link a video in the description that's like a starter build for Trickster, and I'd recommend going and checking that out, and then coming back to this one to see all the mods that you want to be looking out for. But the starter build, if you're brand new to the game, that'll help you out, because a lot of the T3 mods that you need are going to be coming from legendaries, right? And if you're just getting into the CT process, the expedition process, you're not going to have a whole bunch of legendaries, especially as many T3s as you need with the setup. But like I said, there's multiple ways to set this up. Just some of the T3s are kind of mandatory. So first off, let's just talk about our gun. Nothing new here. We're going to be using the Death Shield. They did nerf Fortress so that you don't get as much damage, but you actually, I almost kind of prefer this because you constantly get resistance and the buff at maximum stack. So all you need to do is shoot 3 times, which is literally instant. There's like an internal cooldown, but it doesn't matter because you just shoot a couple times anyway because you're spam shooting, whatever. And then it stacks up to 15% resistance, and then you also get 30% extra damage once you have it stacked up. So it's not as good as it was before where it just constantly gives you damage, but it's actually going to give you some resistance, which is incredibly helpful because by default you don't have any resistance, so a lot of like anomaly damage and stuff is just going to truck you. But this, you're just going to get 30% resistance almost all of the time, which is really good. And then of course we're going to be using Dark Sacrifice paired with it. This is just going to increase our weapon damage by a flat 75%, which is incredibly broken. The reason that you want to use the death shield is because it is a narrow variant, and that is the best variant of shotgun for Trickster. Feel free to use pump shotguns if you want, but they are objectively worse because you simply just cannot clear things nearly as fast, and also getting 30% damage from Fortress, even if it isn't 100% of time, that's still just 30% damage. And also, for Death Shield by default comes with Weapon Life Leech, which is very, very good for survivability, and is probably the one single thing that carries our survivability more than everything else. Pairing that with Fortress coming on it, and then getting close range damage is really good. Alternatively, you could use a Funeral Pyre with, as Laser Bolt would say, a Pyre. You could use a Funeral Pyre with Shadow Comet if you wanted. Resistance Breaker isn't very good, but I don't know, this isn't a very good weapon. The other one that you could use, what is it called? There's one that inflicts bleed. I'll just show it for some of you veterans are gonna be mad at me, but listen, dude, there's new players to the game. All right, we gotta help them out. If you're new to the game, this is the gun that you want to buy. Oh, dude, it's not even here. I don't know why it wasn't there. Okay, so this is the gun that you want to buy if you're new to Trickster. You want to go to Tiago, and he'll just be selling the Bulwark. The reason that you want this is because it has T3 bleed on it. So then you're going to get T3 bleed, and then you're going to use a Vampiric Mag paired with that. You can even do that if you don't have a Death Shield or whatever else. Getting the ideal gun is fairly easy now because you can just reroll at Tiago and probably pretty easily get a Death Shield. But you want to get... This is a decent alternative because you can get T3 bleed for free, and then you can use an armor mod to where you can just get a lot of ammo back, and then you could just put a different T3 mod on the bottom of this. This also has close range damage, but Death Shield is ultimately what you want to strive for. But if you're using a setup, a scuffed version of the build, you can very easily use that bleed setup. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the guns. No more Embalmer's Rage, no more any of that. This is going to be the best setup just because Dark Sacrifice is insanely broken, and also this build pairs very well with just getting additional weapon damage percent increases. So that's what we're doing. In terms of what we're actually using, so the legendary set that we're using is 3-piece Trespasser. The reason that we're doing this is because they now changed it to where you increase your damage by 6% per enemy affected by the Deception skill. So anytime that you pop a Deception skill, i.e. Time Rift or Venator's Knife, based on how many enemies got in that Deception skill, you get an extra weapon damage bonus. I don't know how long it lasts. I think it lasts roughly... How long does it cool down on this? Roughly like 7 or 8 seconds. I actually have neglected to test this. You can very easily probably just tell in my gameplay. I don't know if this has a cap. I haven't really tested it all that much, honestly. I've only played a few expeditions with it, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's just objectively better than just using purples because you just get flat extra damage, which is crazy. Pairing this with all the Time Rift mods, which you already were using anyway, anytime you use your Time Rift, which is a pretty short CD, you just do an absolutely crazy amount of damage, and you do very good damage outside of that. The other way to set this up is to still use 3-piece Trespasser, but instead of using Time Rift, you can use Venator's Knife. And then you want to use, there's a T1 Venator's Knife mod where it'll hit more enemies. So then every time that you use your Venator's Knife, assuming that there's enemies within that duration or within that vicinity, it'll hit, I think, 6. So then you'll constantly get 6 times 6, so 36% extra damage, which is pretty consistent. But Time Rift certainly just has a higher upward potential. But if you like using Venator's Knife, that's fairly easy to do. The only problem with that is that the 3 pieces of Trespasser that you want to be using is the helmet, the gloves, and the boots. And that's because the gloves and the helmet come with very good stats, and they also come with Time Rift mods that you want to run anyways. If you're going to use Venator's Knife, using Pain Transfer or using long range Time Rift on your Trespasser gear is pretty useless. So then you'd probably end up just using, you could use like the chest piece and the legs, but then the mods on those pieces aren't very good either. So then you'd end up just with like a couple mods that are dead, but that's still very worth it for the set bonus, I think, if you're using Venator's Knife. But you can also set this up without the legendary set if you wanted, and still do the same thing with all the Time Rift stuff. So in terms of the mods that you want, almost all of these I would say are mandatory. I'll talk about which ones you can swap out. On every single piece of gear, actually, you want firepower, close range damage, and cooldown reduction. On the 2 Trespasser pieces, you have to use max health, because that's just how they roll. Unfortunate. The main T3 thing, one of the mandatory ones is Ammo Bargain. While the skill's active, Twisted Rounds, while it's active, killing shots give you 20% of your ammo in your magazine. That's insanely good. Every time you kill somebody, you get some ammo back. And then we're going to be using Long Range with Time Rift. Like I said, this just comes on the helmet, so we're pretty much always using this. This just enables you to get more enemies caught within your Time Rift, which pairs very well with the set, obviously, but also Pairing that with pain transfer on your gloves, every time that you use Time Rift, all the damage that you deal to one guy pretty much just gets split around everybody. So you can use your Time Rift. You'll see me do it in the gameplay. You can use your Time Rift and then hit a whole bunch of guys, and then you TP behind like a boss, and you nuke that boss, and it's just going to nuke everything around you because everything is sharing damage. And it's going to share your weapon damage, which is why using stuff like Dark Sacrifice is particularly good, because you're just getting your weapon damage super high and just boosting the crap out of that, and then you just kill everything. You also want to be using Hunt the Prey Instant Reload. This is your other ammo replenish setup, and then those are pretty much all the mandatory T3 mods. And then in terms of the other mods, it's mainly just a lot of T2s, T1s, whatever. So one of them that you want to be using is Captain Hunter. This is, I guess you could swap this off if you wanted to get something that's more neutral damage, so damage to everything. And then I have Mitigation from Death. You don't actually have to have Mitigation from Death anymore. I like to have it just for the sake of having a little bit more survivability, but you could definitely swap this off for a different damage mod. And then I would say Bloodlust is pretty mandatory, and then Buckshot Shells is very good. You can also swap Buckshot Shells for, people use Geiger's Wave, so that anytime they use your Time Rift, it inflicts vulnerability. Honestly, I don't think that's worth it because vulnerability is only 15%, while Buckshot is 10%, but it's active almost all of the time. Or sorry, it is active literally all of the time, whereas Geiger's Wave is only active whenever you're Time Rifting, and I think that's kind of putting all your eggs into one basket, whereas with Buckshot Shells, you just have that active all of the time. And we already talked about the gloves. And then the boots, I don't really like Stare into the Barrel personally. It's not bad by any means, but I don't think that it's as consistent as other things. But we're kind of stuck with it because we want to be using the boots. And then I put on Sharp Eye. In terms of other mods that you could use Personal Space, or you could use Personal Space, just going to give you extra close range damage. You could use the Geiger's Wave like I was talking about. If you're pretty new to Trickster, you could use the Trespasser's, not boots. If you're new to Trickster, you can use the Trespasser legs early on, and you can use another one if you're missing like one of the other ammo mods, so that anytime that shots on enemies afflicted by Time Rift, the skill isn't going to consume it's not going to consume any ammo for you. So you can Time Rift, lay your gun into the guys. This is particularly good, or this is what I used for a while when I was really early into the game when I was using a Bulwark. I used a Bulwark with T3 bleed, and then I used this, and my ammo was fairly consistent, but it wasn't great. And then I used that Vampiric Mag. Kitty's coming back to annoy me. But the legs are pretty good nonetheless. A little bit of pain is a pretty bad mod. Otherwise, there's not really a lot of options. If you're using Venator's Knife, you could, like I said, put the one that makes it to where it ricochets more mobs, and then you could also use a T3 one that's going to increase the range of it, so that it'll always hit like 6 guys in total. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. I'll do some gameplay now. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the description, and I'll probably just answer all of them. It's been a long time since I've made a video, so my bad if things were a little bit incoherent. But try my best. Hopefully you guys really enjoy the build. It's a ton of fun to play. I'm really happy that we finally get to use Legendary set. And it also is the coolest Legendary set for Trickster, which is cool. Unfortunately, Slow Trap is really bad, and we'll just never use that. But hey, whatever. We're having fun. All right, see you guys. Dude, I've been trying to get this map for literally like 10 minutes. I've been opening the expedition map and closing it, opening, closing it, or like leaving to the lobby. Because I want to do this map, because I haven't done it on this character yet. I want to show you guys me doing it for the first time. Don't make fun of me, okay? It won't be super fast. But I think that this will be a decent map for it. I want to kill... I've only played it the one time when I was playing the game like early. I really want to kill like the one boss in the middle while using this. So the thing about Time Rift is that it's particularly good when you know the map, you know how to funnel NPCs into each other. Otherwise, if sometimes you can't get a lot of value, especially when all the guys are like spread out like this. I don't know that Venators would ever be better even when the guys are all spread out, because you kind of one-shot everything anyway, so the extra damage that you're getting from Vendors, I don't know if it's worth it. And you do kind of save time with Time Rift. Even if you aren't using it all the time, you do save time with it. But honestly, no timer anymore, haha. If you don't really care about, doing things incredibly quickly, you could very easily use Vendors if that's just like your preference or whatever. But that guy just didn't get Time Rifted. Yeah, sometimes if guys are still in their spawning animation, they just won't get rifted. But
I think this is an example of a map where it's not particularly great on because there isn't like a huge condensed area with all the mobs. They're all spread out, spawning all over the place. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I got here and then I died to the boss. We're gonna just do that again. It didn't happen, okay? You guys didn't see it, so it didn't happen. That's how that works, right? This guy's a pain. Didn't realize it was gonna be a problem, so I'll just play a little bit safer. Problem is this guy has a lot of damage resistance. I feel like Trickster isn't particularly good for these newer expeditions because you have bosses like that with a lot of health where a Techno would just walk in and just kill it in half of a second. And I'm kind of just getting juggled around. Kind of a rough situation, and the boss doesn't get affected by time rift. You can pain transfer. Guy just has an insane amount of resistance built in, and it's kind of hard to get a good value time rift because there's just not a ton of mobs. Dude, please, I have a family. Last time I just killed all the mobs because I was trying to force them to respawn, and that was not a good idea. This is incredibly risky. I'm full YOLOing. Okay, dude, that guy is rough. I'm not gonna lie. Using Venators might be better on that guy with a full optimal setup for that, but just for that, probably just to get the extra little bit of damage every time that you want to like go in. I mean, look how much fun time rift is. Just fun. You know, I forgot to put my headset back on, so I've just been playing with no audio. Okay. So I don't know what happens after this. I hope that there isn't a harder guy than that guy. Because that guy... Dude, that guy has so much resistance. I could not imagine trying to kill that guy on an AP Pyro. I probably picked... This is probably the hardest one to do. Either this or the boss in Molten Depths. That guy takes forever on Trickster. Dude, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you. Is it just a broodmother? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Give me some little boys. Yeah. Give me some little boys. Oh my god, we got all kinds of little boys. Oh, they all blow up. And a crawler shooting me across the map? What's happening? Dude, please. Oh, LOS it. Oh. Gaming. Gamers in the building, hitting for 1.8 million gamers. I wonder how much damage those things do if they blow up on me. No one will ever know because I have infinite shield and 28k max HP. That's a lot of max health. I'm loaded. We got in here. Ooh, some alphas. You will soon learn that I am the true alpha. Yeah, what do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing, dude? Oh my god, this guy's rotating so fast. The sensitivity in this game is so bad on PC. When you play other games and then you play this game, the sensitivity, like when you ADS and un-ADS, like super slow. And you have to ADS because of mitigation from death and sharp eye. But I guess if you don't use those, then you never have to. But I'm fairly used to having to at this point. Got a broodmother, so we wanna kind of funnel some dudes. A nice little time rift action. I don't think we're gonna get it. I don't think we're gonna get a good one. I should use my time rift a little bit more frugally because I have such a short cooldown on it. There's just a lot of like muscle memory that I have of playing with it without having all that cooldown reduction, so I would like save it. There's no way that's the end of it. There has to be something else. Oh, a big crawler. Alright, let's see if we can just kill this crawler really fast. I'll see if we can get a bunch of ads. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Bunch of ads. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we didn't even have any other damage buffs active there. We literally just had the timer thing, and the guy just got hit for 2 million. Simply just because of using the legendary set. Just because there were so many mobs that got affected by it. Actually crazy. Actually wild, the potential that it has if you hit a bunch of guys with it. It's just kind of hard to hit a lot of guys. Oop. So much fun killing the elites with it though. But I mean, the damage buff lasts after too, which is crazy. World record pace, dude. What's the Trickster world record? I bet I got it. I don't know. Well, 737, not bad, not bad. That one part is pretty hard, but the rest of this is absolute cakewalk with this build. The survivability in Trickster feels way nicer too, with Fortress, the max health and everything. I'll leave this in because you weirdos like seeing what comes out of the box. Okay, it's all bad. Oh wait, one legendary. I'm trying. Chrono suit foot gear. Woo! All right, thanks for watching, guys.